What's up, everybody? So, Christian's not able to make it this week. She'll be back next week. We'll have a special guest next week as well. But standing in for her, I guess the dog is also chiming in. But my buddy Nathan is here, and he is from the band Smallville.
Hello. Hi. We got dog trying to talk on the mic right now, so yeah.
Oh, man. Anyway, so Nathan's band actually just put out an EP called Humming and Survivor's Guilt.
Correct, yeah.
I'm actually playing in the band for the release show next week.
That's true. Very stoked.
And we kind of decided we could talk some about like vulnerability in songwriting and like expressing ourselves and being honest through music, which for me, I can do more in music than I can in real life.
Yeah.
So I figure we talk about that. But do you want to talk a little bit about the record and like what it's about?
Sure. Yeah. So the record is called Humming and Survivor's Guilt. And it's kind of interesting. I realized I was feeling guilt about a lot of things that I don't know if a person would normally feel guilty for. Just like a spectrum of guilt, I guess, right? Some that are very personal, some that are very obvious, right? So like one is like, you know, spending time with my grandfather before he passed, right? Like I didn't do that enough. Obviously, I feel guilty about that, right? But then there's like weirder guilt involved. So the past couple of years, I was battling like an autoimmune disease, right? And so when I would go get like you go to like an oncology center where they do like cancer stuff, right? And I would, you know, get like IV sessions and drugs and all this stuff. And it's like, I'm sick. And then I look over and you see someone like truly fighting for their lives, right? Like I'm sitting there eating Cheez-Its, I'm playing my Game Boy or whatever. And like, I'm sick, but you look over and you're like, shit could be so much worse. And now I feel guilty for being sick and taking up people's time and like, you know, caring about being sick. And so the whole record just like touches on that of just every single song, I think kind of is a guilt I felt about something in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, there was like one thing I was going to say, like we had a band practice before this.
Yeah.
I know in some of what you're going to talk about, one thing I relate to that I noticed that it's a recent thing that has happened with me was talking about like how like your parents have been aging and stuff.
Yes,
and I feel like just recently, all of a sudden, I fully understood how old they were and like all the things they've done for me and like how much sacrifice was involved in that.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, I don't think I can repay this.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to explain it, but it's like this weird feeling constantly of like,
I was such a shitty teenager. I was so ungrateful for everything they did for me. You know, and I mean, it took growing up and living on my own and moving away and being like, they did so much shit. And like, how do you repay that? How do you repay, you know, awesome parents, right? Like it weighs on me all the time. Like all the money and effort and time they spent and like, everything they did for me, I can never repay them. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. It's huge. It weighs on me so much.
Yeah. And I feel like it really wasn't until the last few years. And I think part of it came up, honestly, when Morgan and I got together. And so when I was a kid, my dad would constantly like be on top of me, reminding me to do absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And especially things that are, you know, would be equivalent to like making sure like you'll get an emissions test for tags and like stuff like that. He would remind me so much, and about like locking the doors and everything. He would remind me so much. Also, my favorite one was every time he rode in a car with me.
Yeah.
Every time we would see a deer, he'd be like, if you see a deer, you got to honk the horn and they'll run from you.
Okay.
Which, fun fact, that actually does work. They'll run the opposite direction. But it would drive me insane. So I'm like, you have told me to hit the horn if I see a deer, like literally 10,000 times.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
And it would drive me insane.
Yeah.
And then Morgan and I got together and I realized I am my dad.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm like, you need to go get an emissions test. You need to get an emissions test. That was like a recent thing, or like, I don't know. It's like I'm constantly feel like I'm doing what he was doing, I guess. And I now understand it because it's just like, I got to stay on top of everything to prevent everything from going wrong and make sure this person does this so this doesn't happen to them. And then I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember like when I was younger, my mom would be like, just like text me when you get there. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to the movies and you drive there, just text me when you get there. Or like if you're spending the night at a friend's house, just like text me before you go to bed so I know that you're safe, right? And then, so I'm from Atlanta originally, moved to Nashville. And then like, you know, now I'm not 20 minutes away, now I'm 4 hours away. And it's like, hey, you know, my mom would text me like once a week, like not asking anything. And it's like, hey, text me, make sure you're safe. And I'm like, oh my God, mom's so annoying. You know, I'm 18, I'm out of the house. And now like I text my mom every single day to make sure that she's okay. I tell her I love her before I go to bed every night. Like I don't, yeah. And now I've become the same, like not worrier. I just, yeah, you just realize everything they do for you and you'll never make it up.
I feel like, because I think, I don't know how much, I think I'm older than you, but not by a whole lot. But it's like something about
3, 4,
getting
5
close to 30 all of a sudden. You're just like, and now I have friends who are like going to be 32 and stuff soon. And I'm just like, what is time? This is not supposed to be this. I think about it sometimes because I remember when I started playing in the scene and stuff, I was just like, I don't know. I look back now and now I'm like, wow, everyone's getting old. And everyone's not 21 anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's not 21 in the Nashville scene anymore. I remember like going to shows when I was 18. I'd be like, is that a 27-year-old at a show?
And
like
now it's us.
Yeah. Shouldn't you be like, I don't know, home paying a mortgage and like taking care of your 2 kids or, you know, and now I'm like, and I was like, if I'm not famous before like 26, like I messed up. Like that's, you know, and I'm like, oh, I'm the 27-year-old at the show now. And and I mean, I love it. I love the Nashville scene. But yeah, now we're the old kids on the block.
I think when things started to get, I think when you know that you're starting to creep up is when, you know, all the new like artists that are coming out, like on mainstream or whatever, you're just like, oh, wow, I am almost 10 years older than you.
Yeah,
You're just like, oh man, you know, Olivia Rodrigo, she's out there. She's like 17, right?
Yeah.
17. And I'm like, which I will say, I'm just like, man, the 17-year-old artists coming out now are like way better than the 17-year-old artists when like we would have been younger.
Yeah.
I just, you know, we had Hillary Duff and
that was,
well, you know, shout out to Hillary Duff. I got no issue, but like, you know, I mean, she had a song that literally said, if the light is off, then it isn't on. And I'm just like, someone felt her.
Yeah.
when they wrote that.
Hard agree. Yeah. Huge retreat right there.
But yeah, now it feels old. Like we were both at the Pelham show on Friday and our friend Tuma also played. And that was the first like, oh, the dog in the background. That was the first show like that I've been to in a while. Like I've been to a couple. I went to see Julian in Atlanta, which honestly, I don't know how you grew up driving there. That's a discussion for another time.
It's awful. It's just awful.
I could not turn my kid loose there. Went to Julian and then went to Lucy Dacus. And then I hadn't been anything outside of that until the other night.
Yeah.
And so we got to Lucy late on purpose. And I got there for the start of this show and I was just like, what is this standing? I don't know. I remember being young and being like I remember I went with a friend to see like Paris, Tonight Alive, and like Modern Baseball, and who else was it? Mayday parade. And I remember he wanted to get there really early. So we stood in line in the cold forever just to go in line and stand for another hour and then stand through the show. And now I'm just like, I did that. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, so we've got a release show coming up this upcoming Saturday, October 16th. And so I booked the whole show, and one of the rules I made for myself was it's a 3-band bill, because I want to start at 8, be done by 10:30. That's it. Cause I gotta go home. I gotta get my 8 hours of sleep. Like, yeah, there's no way.
I really appreciate that.
It's right.
I would have been there whether I was playing or not. But like, I admit when I first saw the flyer, because I wasn't supposed to play yet at that point, I admit I saw that and I was like, a 3-band bill on a Saturday?
Yeah.
That's great.
Like, wonderful. Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm too old for it, but also like there's usually like 1 or 2 bands you want to see, right? And everyone else, you're just kind of there. And I don't know. It just more killer, less filler. You know what I'm saying? We got 3 killer bands on the bill.
Yep.
That's it. That's all we need. If we threw someone else on, it's too long. I don't know. I'm too old for it.
And I feel like also like on that, having that kind of view as well. If there's only like 1 band on the bill that I don't know or don't necessarily wouldn't have planned to see. If there's really only 1 I don't know, I'm not going to be like, I got to get there late. Like, I'll sit through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is good because like I think about it sometimes and I feel bad because I'm like, these poor bands are playing and I'm choosing not to watch it. And they're like betting on the people they're needing the people to watch them that come for the other bands. And I feel bad sometimes because I'm like, oh man.
I mean, yeah, it's almost a disservice to the bands playing to have like a huge bill. Like if you got 5 bands, right? And say you're there for the headliner and for, and some people are there for the beginning, right? The people that are coming for the headliner are not going to come for the opening act. And the people that are there for the opening act are not going to stick around for the headliner if they know the first band and not the other 4. Like, why would you waste your time?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, like if you've got 3 bands, it's like, I can stand in this room not knowing 2 bands for 2.5 hours, right? But I cannot stand in this room not knowing 4 bands for 4.5 hours to see someone play a 30-minute set, So, I mean, truly, I just think it's a disservice to bands playing unless for whatever reason everyone wants to see all 5 bands. But I don't know if there's ever been a 5-band bill where I said I want to see every band on this bill. I don't think that's ever happened. I don't think that's ever happened in history.
Yeah, I don't think
ever in history. If I'm wrong, leave a comment on Smallville's Instagram page and say you were wrong. This was actually a great 5-band bill.
Yeah, now I'm like,
but I don't think it exists.
But I don't see 5-band bills often anymore anyways.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'll tell you right now, from a pro, it doesn't exist. So don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it.
Oh man. One fun thing about Nathan is we met through me playing shows. When I started playing in the DIY scene, Nathan booked me on a show now I just remembered that house. That would have been the first time we met. It was you messaged me about playing a gig. It was at a house.
Was it
off of Briley?
Was it by the airport?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That was like, it's like a Trailer Park Boys reference or something. I don't remember the name of the venue, but it was like someone's basement.
I remember it was, I remember Hit Like a Girl played that.
Yeah, it was Smallville.
And y'all
Hit
played.
Like a Girl, Run Tobias, Faith.
I can see the other band, but I can't remember their name.
Yeah.
They were wild.
Was it Superstar Famous?
Yes.
One day?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun show. That one was a little scary for me because I knew literally no one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
No one came for me. I just was there.
Yeah.
But it actually ended up being a really good
It was good.
time.
So there was this time a couple years ago. So there's this college in Nashville, Belmont University.
Oh,
That's like
Belmont.
yeah, I know. Excuse me. And it's primarily a music school. People go for music business and commercial music and things like that. And so it attracts a lot of musicians, of course, right? And so the thing, I unfortunately have to say I did go to Belmont. I don't recommend it, but I did go to Belmont. And the thing is every year you kind of look out for the freshman bands because they're so eager to do stuff, and you basically throw 2,000 new kids all together that have like never met before, and like you just see what kind of bands they make, right? So at this time there were just like a bunch of like indie sounding bands, and it was like Run Tobias, Superstar Famous One Day, Lava Goals, like just whatever weird stuff. I didn't know any of it. I didn't know any of them.
Was O Summer out of Belmont? I don't think they were out of Belmont. I think they were out of MTSU.
I think they're an MTSU band. That was like the like all girl band.
Yeah,
that put
I
out,
love
like,
them.
Sweet.
They're still
pop
going.
hits. They're great. I would love to have them on a show. Every song they put out has been phenomenal. But yeah, that for whatever reason, you would book like some group of like these small like indie freshman bands, and then they just attract tons of Belmont like freshmen basically. And so yeah, so like you throw like Run Tobias on a show, and it was guaranteed like 25 kids would show up. And it was wild. It was just wild. And this would happen basically every year. Every year a school year run comes around, you know, some Belmont bands are made, some freshman Belmont bands, and then they just draw like tons of kids.
I didn't realize that's what was going on.
Yeah, and so
because I remember that Run Tobias had a pool.
Yeah,
I do, because I don't remember them for very long, but when they were there.
Yeah, and I think Run Tobias even had like a house, and we played the house, and they, you know, they were nice and accommodating.
I think I
and
played
they
their
were
house
cool.
once.
Yeah, it was cool, but like they just, I love the enthusiasm of these new bands because they're so excited to play, and they're so excited to promote, and they will bring literally anyone that they can get, and I love it. I want to suck up their youthful energy. So they're great to throw on shows because they're hype, you know, they're so excited to be there. They promoted a whole lot. So much so I used to run a house venue here in Nashville. And we were trying to drum up interest in it. So we hosted a free Christmas show, and we threw like a couple of like freshman Belmont bands on the show, and it was a free show. And usually when you go to a show, especially like smaller house shows, like, you know, people there, and especially as you host shows, you see the same people come to your shows over and over again. So you're familiar with people that are playing, attending. Like you tend to, once you get into it a little bit, like, you know, everyone there, bands, audience, whatever, right? And then they'll be like, oh, you know, like I brought my friend, or like you can tell like the new people, you know, but generally like you kind of know everyone there. And we put these like couple of Belmont freshman bands on there. 110 people showed up to my house, which holds maybe safely like 30
I thought
people.
this whole time that that one show I booked there pulled the most people you've had.
That was
I
good.
did not know about this story.
That wasn't was that like a Taylor Jansen show or something like that? Yeah. No, that was excellent. I mean, that was like 40, 50 kids there. That was awesome. But this pulled 110 people.
What did you do?
Well, so the thing is generally there's like an etiquette at shows, right? And especially as you get into more DIY shows and house shows, like these are happening illegally sometimes. You're not supposed to throw a show in your house, right? So generally punk kids know, DIY kids know, don't hang out in the front yard, don't be super loud, like don't attract attention to it. let's not do two stupid things. Throwing a house show is already a dumb thing. That's, not safe, probably illegal. But let's not do two stupid things and like, be super loud and draw attention to and everything. But these kids that were attending, I did not, of 110 people there, I did not know a single person, which was wild to me. I had never encountered this before. And it just got bonkers. We shut it down early. We told the bands you can't play because like it was just unsafe. People were hanging out in the front yard, which is not cool. Yeah. We have a back patio, a huge backyard. Like you tell them to do something, they'd be like, okay, whatever, fuck you. Like, they don't give a shit. Like our living room was packed full of people. And like
also literally just the parking that would have been involved.
Yeah,
because I know parking where you live.
Yeah, we all have to park on the street. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's not even like a parking lot. Like, it's not like park at the CVS or park at the Dollar General.
And it's not a wide street. No, it's not made for street parking.
No, it is not. Yeah. And so, I don't know how, but I eventually just said, everyone has to get out of my house. This is unsafe. Y'all aren't respecting the property. But like, it was bonkers. People were like fucking wasted at my house. And I'm like, okay, y'all aren't even 21. So I don't want to, get.
Oh, yeah. That adds a whole other thing.
It's like, well, now I'm responsible for you. And like people were dealing drugs or passing out like drugs that weren't like weed. Like I didn't know what it was, but I was like, homie, this is my house. Like, let's chill a little bit. But it was so unsafe. It was so awful. I love house shows, but respect people. Respect the house. They're doing a great thing for your scene, and just like respect the house. Respect the
110.
people. 110.
I just know even so like bad. Referencing that show that I was referencing, where we had maybe 50. Mm-hmm. Like I know how much space that took up.
Yeah.
So I'm just like.
People like peeking in from the kitchen, like
to
you can't even really see it. Yeah,
is
it was too much. It was too much, and it's just it was wild. It was so wild.
Taylor now she's moved up, so
she's huge now.
She's
I know.
Playing the Brooklyn Bowl, so
bonkers. Wonderful
with
for her.
Ex-ambassadors.
Incredible.
Yeah. Spotify before you got here actually like sent me a push notification.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, get to know Taylor Jansen. And it's like something about a biography and says everything you need to know in one place or something. And I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
That's like, weird.
You're like, whoa. Yeah. It's wild. Like it's wild seeing bands get big. Like, what was it? So, like I said, like I hosted house shows at my house for a few years. And one of the bands that I absolutely love is called the Wonder Years. I've seen them 28 times. They have not played my house, unfortunately, but they're welcome to if they would like to.
I think I've heard you say something like this before.
Yeah. And so there's this band Pool Kids that came to my house.
They played your house?
And they played my house to like 15 people. And then
that's funny.
The next year, they're opening for the freaking Wonder Years. And which is great. Wonderful for them, I'm trying to think. There was another band that came through. The Vaughns, incredible band.
I don't know if I've heard of them.
They played my house. They're like, oh, I know what. Vaughn's wonderful band. I can't wait to hear what y'all put out next. But the other thing was Future Teens played.
Future Teens played your house?
Future Teens played my house, and they're managed by Dan Campbell of the Wonder Years.
Wait a minute. I'm having a moment. Who else was on the show with them? Do you remember?
It was like Dreaded Laramie and like one other band. But they played acoustics. Something like their bass player wasn't on tour with them. So they played like 2 acoustic guitars and like a stripped down drum kit in my living room.
It is like all of a sudden, I remember seeing the flyer to this show.
Yeah.
But I I had not listened to them back then. I feel
Yeah.
like there was someone else on the bill that person's why I thought about going and I couldn't go or something.
Yeah.
Now I'm genuinely mad about it.
Yeah.
Because
And it's why, and they have no fucking clue who I am.
Yeah.
Like if I reach out to them and be like, remember you played my house? They'd be like, no,
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea who you are. And that's
No,
fine.
I love them.
Yeah. They're wonderful.
Breakup
very sweet
season.
people. Yeah. Yeah.
That was one of that.
Breakup season's great. Yeah. And it's funny. It's great. I love it. I love being a little stepping stone. Yeah.
Nathan.
I love doing that shit.
So look up Taylor Jansen if you don't know who she is.
Please,
I'm realizing a lot of
yes.
people listening actually won't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Look up Taylor Jansen. Incredible.
But Taylor and I are friends because we met through Twitter. That's the short version. And yeah, I'll leave that story at that. I was thinking about telling the longer version of how we met, but I'm like, I'll save that. But we kind of met through Twitter and mutual friends, and then she was in town, so we met up to hang out. I booked her. We played like a show at Kelly's house at
Lady Charlotte House.
The Lady Charlotte House. And then Taylor was going to come. Taylor needed to, part of why I did that show was like, she really wanted to come for that Paramore. It was the Paramore Art and Friends show. And Taylor really wanted to come. And I was trying, it was kind of our way to kind of help with money to come and stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
and I was like, well, I will literally book this show. And I was like, everyone's going to be in town for this Art and Friends. It'll be great. The Paramore fandom is like.
They love her.
They love her. Also, the Paramore fandom, they're hardcore.
They are, yes.
Hardcore and lots of bright hair. And, but Nathan let me book a show at his house with Taylor and my friend Sarah, aka Stosky, Casey, aka Tuma, played that show.
Oh, that's
she did play on that. Yeah,
you played on it too, right?
Yeah, and then I played, but that was just like more people came than I thought would come, and it was one of my favorite shows I've played. I'm pretty sure I've played your house more than anywhere else. I don't know how many times I did, but I know I played it a good few.
We loved having you.
But yeah, I think now especially it's really cool that I'm like, oh, Taylor played that. And I'm like, man, she's growing up out there.
Yeah.
Just playing the Brooklyn Bowl, which I just went to the Brooklyn Bowl for the first time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you will have been. I don't know if you've been yet. It's kind of, I mean, it had just opened. So, but it's kind of like, it feels kind of maybe a little bigger in the cannery or something.
Oh, really? Okay.
But it has like a second level and you can stand on the outside. But I was just like, because we saw Lucy Dacus there and I was like, man, Taylor's playing here. She's really okay.
That's wild.
It's going to be.
I mean, this tour is going to be so great for her. She's one of the artists that you watch once and you're like instantly hooked. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, this opening slot for her is gonna be just incredible.
Yeah.
You know, it's her music is so easy to love. And I mean that in like the best way possible. You know, it's just so good. It's so easy to love that like just put her in front of as many faces as possible and like all of those faces are gonna love it. You know, she's just one of those artists, you know.
But yeah, so Taylor. Yeah, that was a fun night.
That was awesome.
I have to bring up this story because it's funny, and I know I've heard you tell it a million times, but there was I don't remember what time the doors were at, but like, I know you know what I'm about to tell.
Oh, yeah. I love this.
But like, let's say doors were, because I'm pretty sure we started early that night because we were trying to make sure we had everyone out early for you. But like, let's say, you know, doors were at 6. And this girl shows up at like 4 o'clock.
Yeah, like 3 o'clock, something so early.
It knocks and is like, she asked something. I think back then you told me she asked like, is so-and-so here? And it was like not like Taylor or Elle or anyone. It was just a random girl's name. And
yeah, like it's like 3 o'clock or whatever, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm playing video games, something, I don't know, right? And I hear a knock on my door and I'm like, are the bands trying to load in? Or like, who is it? Right. And I open the door and it's a singular person bright hair, huge smile, and she just goes like, "Is blah blah here?" Like a name I do not recognize, and I was like, no. And then I was like, "Are you trying to get to the Taylor Jansen show?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's here, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but in 4 hours." And she was like, oh, okay." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll see you in a few hours."
But what's funny is I remember I was the first one that came that day.
Mhm.
And you were like putting lights up or something. I remember you had just bought lights. You're like, I haven't put them
Uh-huh.
up yet, but today's the day.
Yeah.
And you start telling me about it, and you're like, yeah, this girl showed up, blah blah blah. And I said something like, oh, did she have like really bright hair? And you're like, yeah, do you know her?
Yeah.
Like,
And you're like, "No, I
but
just
like they all do.
Yeah, I just know the demo for this show." So, yeah.
Oh man, that was
That
a
was
good
so
one.
funny. But truly, I mean, look, I love the fucking enthusiasm. Yeah, show up
Yeah.
at my house at 3 p.m. Let's go. I'm glad
Yeah.
you're ready to rock. But I mean, everyone there was so sweet, so nice, very respectful of the house, very kind and enthusiastic about
I
the
remember
show.
that show. There was a lot of like people like sat on the floor,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
different than how it usually goes. there.
Right. Yeah, I think the kind of pared down acoustic, whatever you want to call it, solo guitar stuff, yeah, kind of lent to an intimate vibe, and I'm glad people felt comfortable, yeah, sitting down crisscross and listening to music. It was fun and sweet. I loved it. That's one of my favorite shows that we've ever thrown at the house. It was
Yeah.
just a very fun and positive night with cool people, great bands. It was awesome.
No,
I
that
loved
was
it.
fun. And then like I played with, and I was good friends with everyone on the bill,
Right.
and everyone
right.
knew each other,
Yes. Yeah.
except the tons of Paramore people. Which I guess for people listening, like when the Paramore Art and Friends show is here, like Paramore fans from everywhere came.
Yeah. Like other countries, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Taylor is known some because on the very first Parahoy, which is Paramore's cruise,
hmm
Taylor won their like version of American Idol or whatever.
Right.
And that's how that got started.
Yeah. So a bunch of Paramore fans
Yeah.
know who she is because of
Yeah.
that, right?
So they were just all here and they came. And I just, okay.
I loved it.
All right.
It was great. Yeah.
Well, no. Yeah. That would be a fun night to have again. If only. She's a big girl now. So
I know. I don't think she's going to play my living room again.
Yeah. Definitely can't put her name on a flyer now. But yeah, I'm excited to see her in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Plus full band or whatever. Which I saw her play at
I didn't realize.
it's like a festival that they do in Cincinnati. I went and saw her up there and she was full band. And that was
Gotcha.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I only watched her and then I watched We Killed Time for Hours. So that way I was like, Fall Out Boy's playing. I've never seen them. Might as well see it.
You've never seen Fall Out?
I had never seen Fall Out Boy.
Do you like Fall Out Boy?
I never got super
Oh
into
my
it.
God.
So I
fucking love
But it was
Fall
cool.
Out Boy.
The only thing that was a little much was Pete Wentz had this thing. And here's the thing, it's not really hidden, like you could see it.
Yeah.
This like tube thing on his bass. His bass shot fire out of the
Yeah.
headstock. And I was like,
Yeah, that's the thing they do. with
I think
like,
this
new
got a
cycle.
little overkill for me.
Yeah.
But they played Sugar We're Going Down pretty early and then we left. I left during their set though to get ahead of the crowd and all that. But
Dog, don't bring up Fall Out Boy. I fucking love Fall Out Boy. So
no hate on Fall Out Boy. I just never got super into
I've
him.
seen Fall Out Boy. Guys, I don't know what the fuck this podcast is about, but I'm about to make it a FOB fan cast. So
Okay.
they went on hiatus, whatever, in like 2010, whatever, right?
That sounds about
and they
right.
weren't putting anything out for a few years, and then they came back from in between then. Patrick Stump put out a solo record, Soul
did?
Punk. And I went and saw him at a club in Atlanta, and to 50 people. To 50 people, I watched Patrick Stump play through his entire record, Soul Punk, and it was incredible. And then I was talking with his band afterwards, and I was like, I was like, yeah, do y'all write any of the songs? Like, and they're like, no, we're just the band, you know? And I was like, well, y'all were super talented. Y'all were great. I love this shit, yada, yada, yada. Right. And then it was like the guitarist I was talking to. And he's like, oh, I bet Patrick would love to hear this. Do you want to go meet him? And I go, yeah, I would love to meet Patrick Stump. And I was 15 at the time. And my friend goes, my dad's here. He's waiting for us in the car. And I go, can he wait? Because I'm about to meet Patrick Stump. He was like, no, my dad really wants to go. So I did not meet Patrick Stump.
That sucks.
Yeah. And then the next tour they went on, Patrick Stump opened for Panic at the Disco. So they were playing like 2,000 cap venues, whatever. This was like during Vices and Virtues. So not like, you know, they're not playing like arenas and stuff at this time. But so, you know, I'll never get that opportunity again. But that was cool to almost meet Patrick Stump.
So close.
Do you know CMT Crossroads? Do you know what that is?
Wait, who did they do theirs with? But yeah, I do know. I went to one once.
Yeah. So, okay. So for those that don't know, CMT Crossroads is something that CMT does where they take a country artist and a not country artist. And so like a very famous one was Taylor Swift and Def Leppard, I think is what it was. And so I think ours was...
Wait, no. I remember when they recorded this.
Yeah. So it was Fall Out Boy and the band Perry.
That's what it was. I was like, I know there's like a female in this band.
Yeah. And so they like film it, and they did
it at Rocket Town.
They did it at Rocket Town. And so that's 1,000 cap venue. And they're not playing a whole set. They play 3 band Perry songs. They play 3 Fall Out Boy songs. And they try some of the songs they just play regular, and then some of the songs they like incorporate things. So there's like Sugar We're Going Down, but with like fiddle and stuff, which, you know, is fun, whatever. Yeah. But that was fun because, you know, they're these 2 huge profile bands playing like 1,000 cap venue to record it, because it's a very, you know, they had to have a very controlled setting. They don't want to play like an arena or whatever. But Fall Out Boy was out in like the back lot where everyone parked. And so I saw them all, and then I was able to meet Patrick and Andy, and they were both very, very sweet. And then security was like, okay, Fall Out Boy, get in your bus. And Patrick said, I will after I meet all the fans that want to meet with me. And I was like, Patrick, you are the homie. He just sounds very, very sweet. And I just love Fall Out Boy.
No, they were. Fall Out Boy was good when I did see them for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think when they were big, I was like so in my like Christian music arena at that time, like in high school and everything. So I was like all about Switchfoot, but I had Paramore. And so I just was not even in the lane. Oh, and I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Like I think there's a lot of bands that I didn't listen to because I was just in a whole different world.
Yeah, just totally. Yeah, they weren't even on your radar. Yeah.
A couple of fun questions before we go.
Yeah.
So out of all of the shows you did have at your house, what was your favorite one?
Oh, that's...
you can give me like the top 2 if it's too hard. Like I'm not trying to make you think too hard about it.
Yeah, for sure. One show we had was a New Year's Eve show. That one was really fun. I don't remember everyone on the bill, unfortunately, but Tuma was on there, who we talked about earlier. Tuma played, and then Daisy had played at like 11:15 or whatever. So it was like a fun, you know, thing to bring in the new year. They also covered like Phoebe Bridgers, and like that was super fun.
I remember that. I was in Ohio, I think.
Oh, I think there was something happening at another house in Ohio. Am I wrong?
Yes.
Yeah.
I played a New Year's show there because I remember this. I remember being mad I couldn't go.
Yeah. So that was a good show. Also, so the other show, it's not a specific show, but there's this band that was in Nashville for a while. They're called Father Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
And under one of my favorite records of all time, truly incredible writing, incredible musicianship, if you have not listened to Father Mountain's Apartment Living, you need to fucking listen to it right now.
I'll second that.
Yeah, thank you. It's incredible. And they were some of my just very, very good friends. And like, I loved seeing them anywhere, but anytime they played my house, they just like brought huge fucking energy. And I loved having them on my house. I loved singing every word to their show. Um, and like they just brought it, man. So anytime they wanted to play my house, I was like, yeah, dog. Even if you just play for me, I'll watch y'all play. So maybe not a show in particular, but that band just rules. Go listen to them.
No, I remember, and I can spin this into the other thing I was going to ask. When I feel like the older I get, the harder it is for me to hear a song and literally like go insane over it.
Yes.
I don't know.
110%.
I don't know how to explain it.
No, yeah.
But I feel like, when I was younger, there were so many like artists and albums and songs I would hear and absolutely get like, I guess to quote it in a funny way, it'd be like wrecked in the best way,
yes,
where you're like, absolutely. This is the most moving thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And like now it feels more rare, especially in the last 2 years, which I think COVID's related and stuff like that.
Sure,
but like,
sure.
But I remember you had talked to me about Father Mountain and I didn't listen to them.
Yeah.
But then I was going to come when they played with Mess.
Yes.
There was another band touring with Mess. I can't remember their name, but then Hunter's band, the SSSR played.
Correct. Yeah. That's right.
And so going into that, like before that show, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to kind of listen to everybody. And that's when I listened to Father Mountain the first time. And I remember that was like I don't remember what specific song it was. I would know if I looked at it, but it was off that record. And I was just like, okay.
Incredible.
Yeah. No, the lyrics and stuff on that are insane.
Yeah.
And, no, so something else I was going to, I'm like, since, vulnerability is in, I'm like, pick an album, which it may be, I don't know, it may be the Father Mountain one. I don't know, like an album that made you like have that feeling.
Yeah.
Maybe like a top and then like the most recent.
Okay, sure. A top is going to be the Wonder Years, The Upsides, which I do not think is their best record, but it is one of my favorite records of all time. So The Upsides came out in 2010, I think, in 2010, right? So I was in high school, and at this time I was listening to bands like on heavy rotation was Panic, Mayday Parade, Fall Out Boy, whatever. You're 14, 15, that's what you're listening to, right? And so do you want me to tell a story about it, or how much can I tell? Okay. I didn't know how much time we had. So basically I went to go see 4 Year Strong on Halloween in Atlanta, and opening was this band called The Wonder Years, who I'd never heard of before.
Oh, so this is the first time you saw them.
This is the first time I saw them, right? So I was like 15, something like that, right? And so I almost didn't go to this show, and that would have maybe altered my life in ways I cannot even fathom. But I did go to the show, and it was in my mind, it was like a 6 or 7 band bill. I don't actually, I'm sure you can look at the poster and see that it was like 4
band bill. Yeah. I don't care who's on it.
And so, but anyway, so I watch all these bands and I'm like, this sucks. I just want to see 4 Year Strong play. And then fucking the Wonder Years come out, and they're right before the one, or 4 Year Strong, right? And fucking this sold out show of 200 people. So this was in Hell at the Masquerade, of like 200 people or whatever. All of a sudden, they were basically all spread out in the venue. And then when the Wonder Year steps on and they like play that first note, everyone crunches together and they all fit in like a third of the actual space that this venue is. Like they were so close together, and people started like jumping and like crowd surfing, and like I had never seen anything like this. And I was like, who the fuck is this band? They have not played a song yet, and people are going fucking wild, right? And it bonkers, like crazy, just right. And so I went home and I listened to the upsides, and it was unlike anything I'd ever heard before. It was lyrically so much better than, the shit I was listening to, Mayday Parade, whatever. Musically, it was so wild. Like I would listen to the upsides all day at school, and then I would come home, and generally my routine, embarrassingly, was I would put on the upsides and I would pretend like I was performing the upsides for like 52 minutes or whatever it was. And then I would start the CD over and I would go through it again. And this was a very regular occurrence at my house of pretending to perform the upsides. But it just hit me like literally nothing else had. And I mean, it was just my introduction into so many bands that I cite as influences, like Fireworks, Transit, Polar Bear Club, just like all the shit that it's like, this is what music can be, right? Like that's what introduced me to DIY, like all this shit, like that record, and subsequently Suburbia that came out like something dumb like 9 months after or whatever the fuck, like it just changed my life forever. And music was like a hobby, and it's like, isn't this quirky that like I listen to bands you haven't heard of, and then it's like, holy shit, like this is my lifeblood. Like, have you heard the upsides? Let me tell you the gospel.
The gospel.
The gospel, yes. Not Fireworks' gospel, which is an incredible record, but yes, the gospel, which is the Wonder Years. And I have seen the Wonder Years 28 times in 4 different states.
I do feel like I understand your Wonder Years love more now. That's one thing I know about you. You got your water bottle with your Wonder Years sticker.
I do. It does say the Wonder Years right here.
And you've got your you have something on your car, or like the thing that says it too.
All my on my rear view mirror, all the lanyards that I've acquired from attending Wonder Years shows. So generally VIP, they always do like a cute little lanyard and like a backstage pass, which is not a real credential, but it's fun. And then one of them is a No Closer to Heaven digital download. That's why I say they're not all VIP passes, but they're all like whatever, you go see them play like an acoustic set, and they like give you like a little badge thing. And yeah, I mean, my room, I've got every single record by them, multiple variants of all the records. I do have a confession to make. So
I'm curious.
So they did this thing when they were introducing Sister Cities, which their most recent record at this time. And the whole idea of the record is to like the whole world is a whole lot more of the same than we are different. Like the whole idea was tie the world together with pins and strings, right? So what they did is they had posters that they hung up all over the world, like America, of course, but like Spain, Chile, Australia, like everywhere. And on each poster, on each poster was a letter, one letter, like a T or an I or whatever, right? And then they're on their website, they put the coordinates, the latitude and longitude of where each poster was in the world. So the idea was a bunch of Wonder Years fans would come and then it spelled out a password. So the idea was a bunch of Wonder Years fans from all over the world would come together, and we would all have the letters, and then we would have to decipher what the letters meant, and that would be the password, and then it got you into whatever, their website finally, right? Unfortunately, there was not very good security on the website, so the password, from what I understand, was in plain text stored on the website, and so it was cracked in 10 minutes when it was supposed to take like hours or days or whatever.
Posters, don't you? Is that what you're getting to?
Oh, we're not allowed to talk about that. But what I can talk about is I did take off from work that day, and I drove to where the location was in Nashville, and I took the poster. The website was already cracked by the time I got to the poster. So it's not like we needed the letter. And I thought it was fine, right? Like I've taken posters down from venues and shows and shit like that, right? So I took off work that day and I went to go find the poster that was located in Nashville. And I found it. And then I took the poster, which in my mind, I wasn't doing anything nefarious. I thought, one, the website was already cracked, so we didn't need the letter anyway. And two, I thought as long as I shared the information that was on the poster.
Oh, so you weren't supposed to take
it would have been
poster.
fine. I guess.
I didn't realize that.
I guess not. Well, because what happened was I'm part of a Facebook group on the Mondays, right? And basically this thread started and it was like, I can't find the Nashville poster. I went to the latitude and longitude that was in Nashville, but I can't find the poster like, does anyone know where it is? I'm having such a hard time finding it. And people were like, yeah, I went there. I didn't see a poster. And I was like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut for this one. Don't really need this group turning against me. But I do have the poster. It's hanging in my room, one of one. Supposedly. And that's where it is. So if anyone was looking for the letter E that was in Nashville, it is hanging in my room at a slightly different latitude and longitude. So I'm sorry if I ruined the game for y'all, but we still got into the website. It was fine. But like people were like, apparently, like they hung them out in like different places around the world, and people were sharing them, and they're like, we asked this business to leave the poster up for the weekend so that fans can come experience the poster. And I was like, I'm so bad. I truly didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I thought, I'll get the letter, I'll get the poster, everything will be fine. That's all we want, right? Apparently other fans were.
You didn't mean to.
I didn't mean to. I would have taken the poster anyway. It's fine. I should have told him, be better, be quicker. Sorry, homie. Sorry.
You did take off work.
Yeah, I did take off work for it. So yeah.
You know.
But yeah, that's.
What is, and then I guess for a last one, what is the most recent record that has made you really feel something? I don't know.
Yeah. Can I look on my phone for this?
Yeah, you can look. Okay. I guess while you look, I'll say what mine is like, because I've had a really, I don't know. There hasn't been a lot that's really hit me that hard. But Noah Gunderson put out a new one called Pillars of Salt. I didn't even know it was coming. I was unaware. I just got a notification.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to his like first records. And then with some elements of like, you know, some synths and stuff. Man, lyrically, I was just like, okay.
Yeah. Is it good?
So yeah, that's what I've been listening to a lot the last few days, but also working from home and stuff now, I don't listen much because I don't drive anywhere, which makes things harder, but his did stick out.
I'm just gonna throw out a couple.
Just throw it. You don't have to think too hard.
Okay, I'll just throw out a couple. Okay, the first one is The Turning Wheel by Spelling. Good record.
I don't think I've heard of them.
I won't. The second record is Temporary Highs in the Violet Skies by Snow Allegra. I think I'm saying that name right. I'm not really sure. Those would probably be my two. Honestly,
I don't think I've heard of either of them.
You're right. Now I'm looking through like my music, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know of anything that's hit me so hard. It's like you say, it's like
the older you get, the harder it is to get hit with it.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah. That's great. Sorry, I'm still looking. I'm just like,
you're fine.
Is there fucking anything? Maybe all music's bad now. Is music bad? I don't think it's me. I think music's just bad now. I will say Lucy
Dacus's record. I forgot. That one got me.
Yeah, Lucy Dacus's record is great. I think it's her best work
I
yet.
agree.
I'll say
Yes,
it.
I agree.
Fuck. Holy shit. All music's bad now. I'll say it. I like to go on record. My name's Nathan Childers. I like to go on record. Music fucking sucks, dude. It's all bad now. That's it. I'm looking through here. It's bad. It's bad. It's
Is it bad or did we get more jaded? I'm not sure.
No, I think it's just bad. I think all music was good when I was 15 and now it's bad. I hate to be the one.
You sound like every like middle-aged person I've ever worked with. Yeah. That's exactly what they say.
Yeah, I guess listen to Pink Floyd's The Wall and then no, I'm just fucking kidding. Hey guys, that album actually isn't that great. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Those two. Go check out those two. Those are some great records. I
guess one question we ask everyone is, what does vulnerability mean to you and what does that look like?
Yeah. That's a great question. So I think having no time to think about this, let me see if I can articulate it. Yeah, I think vulnerability, I don't think I said that right, is I think just about stripping down the kind of the kind of exoskeleton you've got to have to be a person. I mean, we always, or I think I guess I won't speak for everyone, but like you always want to look like you've got your shit together. Everything's going super cool. Everything, everything's good, right? Like we want to look that way, whether it's in person, social media, anything, right? I think vulnerability is kind of, just letting people know, just being human, right? In the sense that it can be big things like, holy shit, I'm so depressed and struggling and I would just fucking love if fucking someone told me they love me and I'm okay, talking about uncomfortable subjects, just talking about who you are authentically. But I also think it's small things, not only receiving and kind of that, like if you say like, oh, I'm having a really hard time, this is who I am, right? But I think vulnerability is also, this is going to sound weird, but also like telling people like they're doing a good job. I think that's vulnerable. I agree with that. I think it's vulnerable to step outside of yourself and like congratulate people and praise people for what they're doing, because I think in some twisted way we think if other people are doing well then we're not doing well, and like I don't know. That's why I always love to, like, this is a small example. Again, this is an awful way of articulating it. Like I said, I've had about 30 seconds to think about this, but I'm just I'm throwing word scramble out and hopefully it'll make sense to someone out there. It does make sense
to me. So I
think you're okay. So I've at least reached one person, but like, so like, for instance, during band practice, right? At the end of every set, I tell people they did a good job because one, they did a good job, but it would be so easy to take it for granted that my band's is playing well because they're all wonderful musicians. And it would be very easy to take it for granted that they know they did a good job because they should know they did a good job because everyone in the band is phenomenal and a wonderful musician. But like, I think it's vulnerable to say like, hey, Faith, you fucking knocked that set out of the park and your guitar playing was wild and great. And, I love what you did in this verse. Like that was so spot on. You know what I mean? And I think that's also vulnerable. I think vulnerable is a lot of things. And I think those are two big ones.
No, I think that makes sense.
Being yourself and, being authentically yourself, sharing the good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, taking away that exoskeleton. And then being kind to people, I think is vulnerable and hard for a lot of people to do.
Mm-hmm.
And congratulating people when they do shit, small, huge, whatever. I think that's vulnerable, and not only is it vulnerable, it's cool as hell, and I love that shit. So
I don't go super into it, but I remember reading or like hearing a thing that was like, if you're having a bad day, do something good for someone else, and it does work.
It's totally true.
Yeah.
It's totally true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we all just gotta fucking look out for each other.
Yep,
I'm not
pretty
the
much.
first person to say it, but just like, not, I can't take care of everyone, but my homies, I'm gonna take care of them. I'm gonna tell them they're rocking my freaking world.
Yeah.
They're blowing my freaking lid off right now. They're awesome because they are awesome, and I want my friends to know they're awesome. I think that's vulnerable.
No, I agree.
As well. Part 2. That's vulnerable. Part 2. Yeah.
Cool. I guess on our way out, do you want to tell everyone where to find you and the band?
Yes. Okay.
Do your little plug.
We are a band called Smallville, or I play in a band called Smallville. That is my little brainchild. I sing in it. I chose the name because I wanted us to have just awful search engine optimization. So when you
thought about that,
yeah. So when you type in Smallville, you'll never find us because unbeknownst to me, wink, there was a TV show that ran for 10 seasons. So that's pretty bonkers. So we are just buried under the mountain that is that WB show. But yes, we have put out a record most recently. It's called Humming in Survivor's Guilt. It came out October 8th. So it's out. It's out now. It's only been out for a few days. We are playing a show at the End in Nashville on October 16th. And we will be accompanied by Brennan Wadle. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. But also the SSSR, which is Morgan's sister. And Smallville will be playing, and you'll be joining us too, Faith.
It'll be fun.
And if you want to find us, 1, good luck, but 2, our handle on everything is Smallville Band, all one word, no underscores, no anything.
There you go.
I think that's all the plugs. Listen to us, please.
Cool. Yeah, do listen to the record. It is really good. I definitely have listened to it a lot since I'm playing. Yeah. But no, Nathan's lyrics are, out of a lot of people I know, his lyrics are some of the best. So to me anyways. So, some of those songs hit me a little bit too. Yeah? So, you actually did get a little punch. So
one that isn't incredibly sweet of you to say. Thank you. I love words and writing. I write all the time, not just songs, poetry, anything. I love writing, right? Language is so fun and interesting and creative and all expansive, never ending. I love it. What was the song that hit you, gave you the gut punch?
I think I'm bad at song titles.
No, you're fine. And
if I have them to look at, then it's like a different story.
Yeah, and all my song titles, pretty obtuse. So sorry about that, y'all.
I should remember it because so 2. So Guilt and Grave Markers.
Yeah.
Because I think on first listen when it came out, I didn't pay that much attention to it, but then I really realized what it was saying. I was like, okay.
Ooh, okay.
And then I remember when I filled in on guitar a couple years ago, y'all played Von Drive.
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember really wanting that song to come out.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you.
So, and now you can hear that song.
And now you can hear it.
Yep. On all the things.
So from your favorite podcast host, Faith Holt, she has given you the recommendation of Von Drive and Guilt and Grave Markers.
Yeah, they're all good. I also love the music to Shenandoah. Well, I like the words too.
Yeah, I agree.
Weird, but I love Shenandoah.
That song.
When those drums come in, I'm like,
God,
yes.
I know. Ross is a freaking beast on that. Shenandoah is an interesting one. I love to be very lyric focused and I was going to say that lyrics are very important to me, and I'm glad you like these lyrics. And Faith, again, I'll say it. I'll give you the honorific. Your favorite podcast host, dear listener at home, has given you the recommendation of Blind Drive and Guilt and Grave Markers. First 2 songs on the record. And by that time, you're already 2/7 of the way through. You've already buckled in. You've already driven down the street. You might as well go on the whole journey with us. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, please check it out. I would love that.
There you go. So now everyone, when you turn this off, you can go check that out. And yeah, come to the show on the 16th.
Please.
We will both be there.
That's true.
As well as Morgan and her sister.
That's true.
A reminder is we are actually doing the pre-order currently for the maroon pullover sweatshirts. They say vulnerability is in. So please go check that out on nosubjectapparel.com. And I guess that's it until next week. Thank you for listening, and y'all have a good week.
Thanks, guys, for listening.
You can follow us over at No Subject Apparel on all social media.
You can discover us on YouTube.
And please like, subscribe, follow, and review us on whatever platform you're currently listening on.
New episodes will be dropped every Tuesday.
And you can sign up for our mailing list in the description of this episode to get a personal message from us and reminders for new episodes every week.